Hello, everyone. Welcome to the shitcoin.com show. As always, I'm here with Andreas Brecken.
Happy to be here.
And this week we have another special guest introducing the chief scientist of MatterPool, Daniel Krawisz. Welcome back, Daniel.
Well, thank you. And I'm delighted to be back on. Hi, Andreas and Blake. The previous series of videos we did together are some of my most important work on YouTube. So I'm really glad we did that. And I'm just reminding the viewers to go back and check that out because everything from that video is still very relevant.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to link to those as well.
We definitely will.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Since the last video, what's been new in your world, Daniel? I see you've been busy.
Yes. The purpose of my YouTube show, Bitcoin Stuff, for me, from my standpoint, was to gain allies, because when the Bitcoin Cash BTC split happened, I realized that I had no allies, and that most of the well-known people in Bitcoin were phonies, because they had allowed the split to happen.
Mm-hmm.
My show was designed to transmit through the thought control and reach anybody who wasn't brainwashed, and it was successful at that. So since our last episode, I found allies who are good enough that we are able to start a company together. So I am a co-founder of MatterPool, which is a new mining pool, and we only do BSV blocks. And it's co-founded with Attila, Josh, aka CoinYeezy of Twitch, and Urban Arson, aka Aaron, also of Twitch. So we've got a strategic alliance with Twitch at MatterPool, and that's going to be very important.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm intrigued as well, just because I can see that you've been very systematic about the products that you're launching under the brand. So the first one was the actual pool, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. The product of the pool is Bitcoin blocks, and so far we have not got even one block yet, but we're still setting up. In fact, that's kind of ridiculous how much attention we got, given that we haven't actually done anything. But
well, I mean, if for the people out there who want to try solo mining or get their friends together and try to find a block, that could take you a while.
Yeah, well, we don't have very much hash power yet, but once we get our system all perfect, we're going to start buying a lot more. And right now we're going to get on average one block about every 2 weeks or so, but we plan on doing a lot more than that eventually. MatterPool is a Bitcoin service provider. So when you use Bitcoin, you know that it's going to work correctly because we're there for you, and there will not be an interruption in Bitcoin services like there was from 2017 to 2019. So in addition to providing Bitcoin, the service, we have other services that are built on top of Bitcoin. And so far, we've got 2 out. We've got Bitcoin files at bitcoinfiles.org. You can upload anything to the blockchain with it. And so it is, it's like Dropbox. Right now, we do not have encryption, but eventually we'll add that. So now, for now, you can add files that are visible publicly, but eventually you will also be able to have private files.
And I mean, that goes with your example of Dropbox, because as far as I know, Dropbox does not have any encryption. So for example, when I use Dropbox, I have an encryption layer on top of it, which is called Boxcryptor.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't know about that. But yeah, yeah, Dropbox knows about everything that you have on its service. I have another service called Spider Oak, and they use they don't know what you have on their service.
Right.
So
which makes sense, because Dropbox, if you remember, they had a bug that was live for almost a day, where you could log into any account with any password as long as it wasn't blank.
Wow.
Oh wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, evidently
Oh
only slightly more than half of all accounts were accessed during that time. So
wow.
yeah,
Well,
you know, it's
yeah,
when you leave one of these development flags on and it goes to production, and you
yeah. Well, well, Dropbox is an example of a service that Bitcoin can replace. So Bitcoin, the service that Bitcoin provides is emulating trusted third parties. So all of the Bitcoin miners are in competition to do a better job maintaining the Bitcoin network. And the Bitcoin network as a whole can emulate any trusted party as a sequence of Bitcoin transactions. And so when we replace services like Dropbox, what we end up with is a service that all miners can provide together. No single company has a memory hole like in 1984 that they can use to change what's in the database. So Dropbox could hypothetically show different people different things when they access different URLs, right? And they can what? Go away if you don't. What are you so mad about? Go away. I don't think that Lemon likes it when I talk to people. I don't think he likes he likes the noise of me talking.
do
So,
you talk to Lemon or?
Well, normally when I'm not talking to people on Zoom, I'm not talking.
Okay.
When it's just me and him here, I don't talk like this, to nobody. So
Not projecting.
so I think that he doesn't like that. He doesn't understand the point. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So so Dropbox could hypothetically create a false a different reality, a different apparent reality for different people, depending on who is accessing the database.
So it's similar to a proof of stake.
Yeah, and of course, there isn't. I don't know what Dropbox could really do with that, since the whole point is that you're supposed to have private accounts. But something like Twitter or Facebook, they can show they can create false apparent realities, and they can mass manipulate people. But when we have a shared database, and there's there's different companies that are competing to be better at maintaining the one database, then we can't have that. So the Bitcoin service is very good because it protects you from being inside the matrix, and it protects you from he who controls the past controls the future from 1984. It doesn't allow any single organization to have control over all information.
Become an early adopter. Siteship.ai.
The second service we've got is called Boost, and well, Bitcoin Files was designed by Attila, and the second one, Boost, was designed by me. And Boost is a way for a Bitcoin miner to sell proof of work. So instead of using proof of work to mine blocks, we can use the existing ASIC machines and infrastructure to apply proof of work to any message. And when we do that, it is the user who is taking on the risk of ensuring that the message is good. Whereas when we're mining blocks, we have to ensure that the block is good and that it gets propagated. So selling proof of work is a way of reducing risk, and we can use Boost as a content ranker. So when we had a problem in Bitcoin a while back because we were all using Reddit to talk about Bitcoin, and we had the r/Bitcoin subreddit, but it was taken over by malicious actors, and now everyone there is a cult member. So and they don't believe that proof of work is important. They don't, or I should say, they don't understand what it's really for. Really, people who presume to have important things to say should be willing to do proof of work first. They should be willing to do proof of work on their message when they're saying something that is purportedly important. But what we have on Reddit is anybody can say anything cheaply, and an upvote costs nothing. And what we saw is that kind of system is easily manipulated and taken over with propaganda. When we start to use proof of work as an upvote system, that will not be possible anymore, because the difficulty of it's riskier to try to gain by telling lies and by using manipulation. If you have the truth and you're just offering something good, then that's less risky. When you're not offering something good, there's a bigger chance that people will not accept it. So when we use proof of work, the risk is increased for both manipulators and truth tellers. But the manipulators are already taking on more risk. They're already doing something more risky. So the proof of work hurts them more than it does people with the truth. And this is the same principle by which this is called the handicap principle in biology. And the handicap principle is a theory about how how animals signal honestly to one another when there is potential benefit from lies. So a big application of the handicap principle in biology is in sexual selection. So this is kind of an obvious one because there's animals would want each other to believe that they're the most fit, right? Because they want to have the most sexual partners. So there's a good reason to lie about being fit. So what happens with animals is they develop costly signals that they use to demonstrate fitness, and the use of a demonstrated opportunity cost is something that hurts less fit animals more than more fit animals, or relatively more, I should say. So the classic example is the peacock. The less fit males cannot grow tails that are as impressive as the more fit males. No matter how much they'd like to, they're hurt too much if they try to compete equally with the more fit males. So that's why the tail is a signal that that the peahen is interested in, because it's something that that can't be faked by less fit males. So our Bitcoin on Reddit has been taken over by less fit males, and when we use my boost system for upvotes, that sort of thing won't be possible anymore.
Awesome. I actually, I saw an interesting coincidence in that in the white paper you mentioned Adam Back, and then Adam Back actually ended up shilling Boost even more on Twitter. I saw the other day. So.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah. Let's see. Well, maybe you can find the picture and edit it in or something. But
we can. Yeah.
He said something really obnoxious to me, because what I said is that Boost is going to defeat Gregory Maxwell, because if Gregory Maxwell wants to create sock puppet accounts where he convinces himself that small blocks are necessary, that's going to cost him and it'll cost him more than it'll cost other people to just act normal, right? Because he has to play a bunch of different characters, so that costs more. And this is when someone who wants to manipulate the conversation needs to be able to control all competing information, and that becomes much more difficult when we use proof of work, because there's an objective ranking of information. So if you want to control information, you basically need to have all ranks, all ranks that people read through. So if you say people, just for the sake of argument, let's say people read the top 10 ranked posts, you need to have all 10 of those if you're a manipulator, because you can't allow competing information in. Whereas someone who actually has good information does not need to do that. They don't need to have the top ranked post. They don't need to have all top 10 posts. They just need to be somewhere in the top 10. And if their ideas are better, they'll eventually win out. So well, this is one of the arguments that people make with me about Boost, is they say that it favors wealthy people, which I disagree with. I think that anyone who overvalues their information is a loser in the proof of work contest. And wealthy people who overvalue their information lose energy, and it just takes longer for them to run out.
And I'm sure you would often find that wealthy people are usually less willing to throw away money, which
Right.
would explain how they became wealthy.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So wealthy people who don't overvalue their information will be able to stay wealthy, and they will not lose energy, and they will be able to say things that they will be able to talk in a way that doesn't ruin themselves, and they will say things that tell other people about how to be more sustainable. So that's what I think the conversation will be about when we use the proof of work upvote system. People will talk about how to be sustainable instead of talking about tricks that they're using to get other people to do whatever they want.
If you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to sign up to our newsletter at shitcoin.com/newsletter.
What kind of use cases do you think will be the most important ones to look at first?
Well, we've got two companies that are, we've got one company that's already using Boost and another one that is incorporating it. So the first one is Baymail, and they're Baymail is a system similar to email, except that all messages appear in the blockchain, and they're all encrypted, so they're not public, but they're never going to be lost. And Dagan, who is creating Baymail, has implemented Boost into it, and it works exactly the way that Adam Back originally envisioned it. It's a spam filter, and you set your difficulty, and then anyone who wants to message you has to meet that difficulty, or else their message is not displayed. And the other company is Twetch. So we're going to use Boost as an upvote system for Twetch eventually. And Twetch is a social network that does not have ads, because every interaction on the network costs small amounts of Bitcoin. So instead of mass manipulating people to turn them into fertile ground for advertisers, the business model of Twitch is simply to provide a platform for everybody, because they get money from all talking. So they like all conversation.
When so I'm just thinking about this. When I'm going to send a message using Baymail, I assume I must tell some party, like for example, MatterPool, that I need to buy some hashing to authenticate my message.
Yes, so that's exactly how Boost works. There's an output in a transaction that is redeemed with a nonce that a miner finds. So the Bitcoins that are in the output are payment for doing the proof of work. So you don't even have to know any miners in order to use Boost. As long as you create the output correctly and you have a big enough bounty, any miner who knows how to identify Boost outputs can do the work for you. And we've also got another mode of operation where you contract for the work beforehand. So instead of using a bounty system, you just ask us and we will give you a price. And then you create an output that only we can redeem. So there's two different modes. There's a bounty system where all miners are in competition to redeem it, or there's a contract system where we have an agreed upon price, and then only we can redeem the output and do the work.
So this, I mean, this system would work on other Bitcoin sort of compatible chains. But, but if the transaction fees are very high,
well, it wouldn't work
tougher.
on BTC because they don't have enough opcodes running to be able to program the system. But it can work on BCH. But if people on BCH started using it, they would just realize that they're not sustainable more quickly than they would realize it without it. So
okay, because they would be copying a feature from BSV onto BCH and using that. And
yeah, and
you
they
would probably argue
also,
that why don't you just use where the innovation came in the first place?
Well, that's part of it, but yeah, BSV is where a lot of other innovation is coming from as well. So I think and BCH is also limited in terms of its block size. So when people started to use this on BCH to talk about what is sustainable, they would just realize that they're not sustainable. They will realize that eventually anyway, but they'll just figure it out more quickly if they start to use Boost.
What's the plan in terms of getting this adopted in wider companies?
Right now, Boost isn't fully functional. We can only we only can do low difficulties right now, but I'm working on programming our mining pool to be fully integrated with Boost. So we will automatically send Boost jobs to the miners that connect to us, and they'll be mixed in with block jobs, and it'll all be seamless. But right now, that's not quite working yet. So, but once it is, then I'm going to start promoting the idea heavily. So my plan right now is to use any of my contacts with alternative media sources and try to talk to anybody outside of Bitcoin that I can get to show some interest in the idea. And I think anyone who is outside of Bitcoin, who doesn't like the mainstream media, and who realizes that the conversation in the non-Bitcoin world is also full of manipulation, is going to be interested in Boost. So that's sort of my plan right now. And I think that when people start to use it, the difference will be evident fairly quickly. And
what if
yeah,
I guess you could make plugins for web browsers so that
right.
this could show seamlessly for Reddit and Chrome. And I know on
Yes.
Reddit you could just you could hide the up and down votes of Reddit itself and just use Boost or side by side. Or
oh, that's a really funny idea. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, there's potentially somebody could make a plugin that would replace the Reddit upvote system with our upvote system. That's really funny. Yeah. So well, we're
the
working
people
on
out of the
our
loop, they
own,
wouldn't even know.
Yeah, we're working on our own version of Reddit that'll just display all boosted content, and we've also got web developer tools that allow Boost to be embedded in any web page. So So any website that that needs to figure out what's popular and display that to people can use Boost, and as long as they have a way of paying with Bitcoin, they can add it in.
Have you considered using it as a login captcha replacement?
I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't thought about that. I'll have to think about that idea. I haven't really considered that particular problem, but I don't think you can replace a login with Boost.
I meant that the captcha, the I'm not a robot.
Yes. Yeah, potentially you could do that. And so a bot is like a manipulator, because they kind of waste computers' time making requests that the computer doesn't really want to serve. But I think that for DDoS protection, you can really just use payments in Bitcoin, and you really only need the proof of work system when you're making messages that are different people will want to look at.
Oh, I see. Because with the captcha, you're just saying, oh, it's the same thing, which is I'm not a robot.
Yeah. So, and well, let me add something to that, because I still think that we need Boost as a spam filter for Baymail. And the reason is that when you receive a Baymail or an email, that's not necessarily a request to perform a service. So if we're talking a DDoS protection, every request that's made to the server is a request for service. So there's some response that needs to be given, like serving a page or something. So that's why a payment works for that. But that's not the case with email or Baymail. And so when we use Boost with Baymail or email, there is a good chance that the email will be read by the recipient. So if you use a payment with email, there is the potential that the reader might solicit messages from people purely to receive the payment and doesn't actually want to read them. But if we're using Boost, it's in the recipient's incentive to set the difficulty level at exactly the amount that he wants to read all of the email that he receives. And there isn't a way for him to game the system. So I think Boost is needed for messages between humans, because it aligns the interests between both parties. And if you send an email with Boost, you can be reasonably certain that it will be read.
Become an early adopter. Siteship.ai.
People are very confused about the values of the different cryptos. So let me talk a little bit about what I think is valuable. So to me, every form of money is valuable because it's a group of people who are providing for one another. And what money enables is specialization. So when we use a particular form of money, we are specializing relative to everyone else who is using that same form of money. So every money is a different group of people, who are who are providing for one another. And the best money is the best group of people. So one problem we've been having in BSV is the degree to which a certain BSV Bitcoiner has attracted the attention of the rest of the crypto community. And I will not name names, but perhaps you can guess who I'm talking about. But if you are distracted by paying attention too much to one person, you are actually missing what is genuinely valuable, because it's always about the group of people that makes money valuable, and it's about their ability to benefit one another. And if there is one person in the group that is not benefiting everyone else, he doesn't make everyone worse off. He just fails to benefit people. So if MatterPool fails and we turn out we're not actually very good at making a mining pool, that doesn't make everyone else in BSV worse off. It just means that we have failed to benefit them. But on average, people what you get from the money is everyone who is successful at benefiting each other. You don't get hurt by people who fail to benefit everyone else. So when we use money, we are not at risk from people who fail, but we are poised to benefit from people who succeed. And the other coins are not functioning in the way that I described very well, because none of them understand the need for big blocks. Now, when what you get from a solution to the Byzantine generals problem is everybody can act independently, but they are all still harmonious. So you get independent action that still all works together. Because a solution to the Byzantine generals problem means that all honest nodes will agree. The other coins are not building their infrastructure with that idea in mind. They're not building their systems with the idea that there is a need for independent action, and they are all limited in terms of the bandwidth that the network can support. So they all have block size limits, except for BSV. There's an important essay by Oleg Andreev, which says that, or it's called proof of work, or it's called proof that proof of work is the only solution to the Byzantine generals problem. And what all of the other coins are doing is they're limiting people from independent action, and they're substituting systems that do not rely on proof of work, and which therefore are not genuine solutions to the Byzantine generals problem. So they're not enabling independent action. So that's how I see the Lightning Network as functioning. I see it as an illusion that people believe will enable independent action, but really does not. It really does not add anything to BTC with small blocks. And as the, or I should say, if the BTC economy were to grow, if people were to try to grow the BTC economy, they would hit limits very quickly that the Lightning Network would not save them from. So what we get with big blocks is the independent action of everybody involved in the economy, which can be as big as the whole world. So when we use BSV, what we have is the potential for everyone in the world to benefit each other. And none of the other coins have that.
Here's one last bit of gold from Daniel before we go.
I have one last thing about how MatterPool works. So our business model as a mining pool is we buy hash power and we design blocks. So miners who connect to us get paid for every share that they submit, regardless of whether our block is orphaned. So part of our business model is taking on orphan risk. So not all mining pools work this way, and not everyone sees that as the business model of mining pools. But to me, an integral, every business needs to be better at calculating some risk, or else there's no reason for it to exist. So what we all want to do is rely on everybody else for things that they're better at, and they'll calculate risks that they're better at. And what the mining pool is better at is managing orphan risk. So miners with ASIC machines can have a mining farm that and not have to think about designing blocks. And then we design the block and we take on the orphan risk for you.
Daniel, how can everyone keep up to date with everything MatterPool?
We have a blog, blog.matterpool.io, and you can subscribe there. You can give us your email address, and we'll send it to you. Actually, I'm going to make a note that we should integrate Baymail with that.
And I would suggest everyone follows Daniel on Twitter, and I'm guessing Twitch as well, if that's where you're hanging out
yes,
most these days.
Yeah, Twitch is where all the cool kids hang out now. So yes, you should follow me there for exclusive content. Also, Danny Trejo is on Twitch, and his content is very funny. He does all of these memes that are much better than the average Hollywood movie.